I'm a boko boko. Hello, good people. Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, it's good to be back. I haven't done one of these for a very long time. And yeah, I thought it was appropriate for me to just get involved here a little bit and give some thoughts, a little bit of analysis from my side based on that incredible performance on Sunday by the Boca against Les Bleus. And then just to look at the semi-final that's ahead of our boys. This week Saturday. And yeah, I mean it was just unreal, totally unbelievable that we got through that game. Just the sheer belief, the tenacity, the courage, how the guys were able to dig so deep to get the results. In a game like that, which was just incredibly tough. I mean, so much went against us in terms of, from a territory and possession perspective. We were sort of, we were chasing the 8 ball for the vast majority of that game. We were having to make a heck of a lot of tackles. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but we were, I don't know, we were probably like around 130 at least tackles odd that we had to make. It was just really hard work. The guys really had to dig deep, and I just think it's such a testament, such a awesome reflection on our team, and the values that embody that team, and the belief that flows through our Springbok team, that they never gave up. They never knew that they were beaten. And I truly believe this. You could say this is a biased viewpoint, but I truly believe that any other team on that day, given those same circumstances, given the game situation, I think, I'm not saying a team would have thrown the towel in, but I think psychologically at a certain point, probably halfway through that second half, more or less, when they were 6 points down, I think they would have known that they were beaten at that point. And our guys just never gave up. They never felt like they were out of that game. And ultimately, the way we managed that game in the last 15 minutes is what won us that game. And yeah, there has been commentary that we were quite fortunate with our tries, that, the French were quick to say that we didn't work as hard for our tries. We didn't build phase play like they did, which, yes, is true. I mean, two of those tries came off contestable kicks, aerial kicks. And, the other one, the Jesse Kriel try, was a foot pass. I mean, that was a well-constructed try, although it did come off a turnover ball, like a turnover transition try. But even those kicks, I mean, I don't think we got enough credit for that, to be honest. I mean, initially I also thought we've botched those kicks a little bit. We've kicked them too shallow. But in actual fact, that was completely deliberate, to kick them a bit more shallow, so that they were sort of landed in no man's land. So, Ramos, the guys at the back coming on, they weren't quite able to get to the ball, and then you had a bunch of forwards kind of loitering around in that area, and they weren't comfortable to go back onto the ball. So there was just no one sort of taking ownership of that high ball, and we capitalized on that, and we made the most of those opportunities, and we were super clinical, and that was really, really awesome to see. So yeah, I thought it was a great performance. I thought experience came to the fore. It was really counted for a heck of a lot, the guys that came off the bench. Obviously, we unloaded our bench very early. That was interesting to all of us. But, I think, that had a lot to do with the guys just emptying their tanks, in particular Sia going off the field like 5 minutes into the second half. This is all obviously data-driven. The guys have got monitors on the back of their jerseys. So there's live data feeds going through all the time. So you can be sure that there's very good reasons why we're making the changes when we are. And it's dependent on how the game is going. And we had to really give a lot in that first half, making that many tackles, being under the cosh for so long, and the guys were drained, and it made a lot of sense if you reflect on it, for us to introduce our bench at the time that we did. Cool. So I don't want to spend too much time. I mean, I'm really almost 5 minutes into this video, and it gets really boring listening to me for anything more than 10 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes is probably quite a ask. So I'm gonna move on swiftly and get to the game this weekend against the English. And it's an interesting matchup. Of course, on the surface of it, everyone looks at this English team and says, okay, average team, they don't have a whole lot going for them. They've made their way into the semi-finals. They've had a favourable draw. They've had pretty weak opposition. The only respectable, decent team of arguably that they played so far would be Argentina, and Argentina, by all admissions, just didn't pitch up in their first game. They were extremely disappointing, especially when you consider that they that they were playing 15 against 14 and they weren't able to capitalize on that. So that was a little bit of a freebie perhaps for England, but let's give them a bit of credit. Like, they beat that Argentinian team. They played a smart game plan. They kicked, George Ford kicked all of those drop goals. It was super deflating for a team like Argentina, a team that plays on so much passion and emotion. And, when you keep getting knocked back with drop goals, it's just really deflating for a side that gets so much energy emotionally, and that was just really emotionally deflating for them. So, but I'm not going to go back. I mean, that's ancient history now, I guess, right? So, the point that I'm trying to make is that this English team, I don't think they've been tested by quality opposition in this tournament. I mean, that's quite obvious. And what I'm hoping we're going to do in the game against England is what makes me a little bit nervous about England, right? And Victor Matfield actually spoke about this. I heard him talk about it briefly in one of the podcasts. But he was saying, we must just be a little bit wary. Like this, let's not fool ourselves. This England team can beat us. I don't believe that they will, of course, but it is possible. They are capable. And the only way that happens, right, and this is my opinion of Victor Matfield's, but the only way that happens is if we get caught in the wrong type of game style against them. I'll think a little bit about the semi-final against the Welsh in 2019, that type of a game. Where England will be very mechanical about how they go about things. They'll have an anti-rugby kind of approach. They will be very safe and very risk averse in terms of the plays. You'll probably see them going to the boot a lot. Being very careful about what parts of the field they play from, not really generating multi-phase play, and backing themselves to perhaps win aerial contests against us. And make it a scrap, basically, and try and neutralize some of our strengths that way. They'll probably feel that they can probably, stand up to the set piece. I feel like to our set piece. I mean, I feel like they're hoping they should, and they can. I think they are capable of doing this, getting parity against us in the scrums. Although I think we will get some dominance there for sure, especially with Ben O'Keefe. And I think if we paint the right pictures there, particularly earlier on, then I think we can have some joy there. Lineouts, they're pretty competent. The English lineout, particularly in terms of contesting, and Itoje is a thorn there, right? And he has been for us in the past. So we're going to have to look out for that. We had a 100% lineout record against France, but there wasn't that much strong contesting coming from their side. So I think they will target our line a little bit, especially because it's such an important platform for us. What I'm hoping we will do in this game in terms of our approach is that I'm hoping that we will try and attack them a bit more, particularly in the first half, the first 20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, right? And be a little bit ambitious, because I don't think we have anything to lose, to be perfectly honest. So I feel like that's the best way for us to get ascendancy over them and to ask questions of their defense. I don't believe they have a very efficient defensive system, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, particularly if it's under duress and they get properly tested, right? I'm looking for us to hopefully, I've been umming and ahhing from a selection perspective whether they would go with the combination of Faf and Polly to start this particular game, thinking that it might be, initially I was thinking it would be a more cagey affair, and I'd prefer to have those two starting for, Pollard to kick over the penalties and perhaps, build a bit of scoreboard pressure that way, a bit more attritional. And then in the next day I wake up and I think, no, I'd rather have them coming off the bench with their experience, like what we did with France, and let's start with Kobus and Marnie, like we did in the previous game. And I think where I've landed up with this is that I would actually prefer Reinach and Marnie to start the game. I see them as a combination, potentially Faf to come in and partner with Marnie. So that is definitely an option, and then have Reinach on the bench. But I think Marnie probably does need to start. Just because of the game style that we can play with him at 10, and how much we just flow a lot more. There's this more, a little, not cohesion, but we're just able to get more go forward. We're more dynamic in our attack, obviously, with Marnie at 10 as opposed to Polly. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. And then, we can always bring it back from there. So, we can always make the subs in the second half, start playing a bit of a different type of game plan. That's the beauty of, all the options and resources that we have, where we can look to close out the game and be a bit more strategic and, maybe a little bit less ambitious as the game progresses. But the real advantage of getting a lead through being a bit more ambitious earlier in the game and hopefully scoring, maybe let's say 2 tries, perhaps 3 would be a real bonus, but that's, I guess, maybe unlikely. But get a bit of a scoreboard pressure and put it in England's court. Like, they like say to them, listen, you guys are going to need to start making the plays now. Like, and are you guys going to be able to do that against a defense, like a quality defense like ours? And hopefully we can induce them into, taking errors, making things uncomfortable for them, making them do things that they would prefer not to do. Because I just feel that that's what England would not want in the game on Saturday. They would want to play it on their terms. And we need to try and force them out of their comfort zone and make them play a style of game which they're not really suited to, which they haven't had much experience in, particularly against like a strong defense like ours. Okay, and then we can really start to turn the screw on them basically. So I'm hoping that's the way the game's going to go. I mean, it might not go like that at all, but I do think it's going to be really important for us, particularly coming off the French game, that we get a lot more territory and possession in this game. I don't feel like we want to be defending nearly as much in this game as we did against the French. I mean, it does take a big toll out of the players, and we can't rely on winning more games with that little territory and possession. That's just not going to work for us. So I don't want to say we got away with it, but we managed to get through against France. But we've sort of almost played that ticket. I feel I kind of call it like we've played our resilience ticket now, in a way, against France. And I feel like this game will go very differently to that game, and of course the final will go differently too. And I believe we will get to the final, and I believe that we'll have a lot more territory and possession against the All Blacks as well, for various reasons, which I'm not going to go into now because this video is going to go on for way too long. But we are at like 11 and a half minutes, so. I'm gonna wrap it up, but I just want to say, feeling very good about the Bokke this weekend. I believe we are going to beat the English. I feel like it's going to be a tougher game than a lot of people are saying it's going to be. The English are a better team than they probably get given credit for, particularly in terms of the style that they are able to play, which is a smart style, actually, given their resources and where they are at as a team in terms of their development and progression. So Borthwick's been really smart and pragmatic about that. But that said, I believe we've got too much firepower for them. We've got so much on offer. We've got such incredible players. I don't see a lot of changes in the team. I spoke about those, the halfbacks. Further on from that, I believe that Jasper. My feeling is that I think Jasper Wiese will start this game at 8. I think he deserves an opportunity, and that's taking nothing away from Dwayne. But and I don't think that Dwayne shouldn't start because he needs to be rested. That's not the main reason. I just think that Jasper will be quite well suited against the English. And I wouldn't mind seeing him there, to be honest. And then on the bench, I think possibly Dwayne may be there. I think we're going to go a 6-2 split. I haven't quite worked out exactly what that's going to look like, but it will be 6 forwards and 2 backs. I think the 2 backs are obvious. It'll be the other half backs that are not starting. And then from there, I feel like Trevor might come in for Vincent Koch, and then outside of that, you're looking at pretty much the similar bench to what we had against France, possibly with Jean Klein coming in there. But it's tough then with the 6 forwards. I don't quite know how they'll get it right, because you have to obviously have Koch there. I mean, he's the first forward potentially that you pick on that bench after the front row. But it'll be something like that. And then I think the rest of the team will pretty much be the same. I don't see them breaking up the centre partnership. I think back three will be the same, and obviously the tight five will be identical. I'm pretty certain of that. Excited for the game. It's going to be an awesome weekend. It'll be interesting to see what happens between the All Blacks and Argentina. I see the teams have come out. Certainly the All Black team has come out. I mean, I'm hoping Argentina will ask some questions there, but I don't think they have enough. Although, who knows? It's not quite rugby. You just can't predict it, depending on how the game goes. But I feel like the All Blacks will get through by 10 to 15 points. And I feel similar with regards to the Bok game. I mean, I think we should win that game by about 10 points. Probably not a lot more than that. Enjoy the game, everyone. And it's really exciting. The dream is still on and it's strong, man. And we're going for this thing. And I firmly believe that the Springboks are going to win this World Cup. So enjoy. Thanks, guys. Keep well. Ciao.